So the first writer I'd like to introduce is Douglas Bruton. Douglas has had work appear in various publications, including Northwards Now, Ascetica, the Irish Literary Review, and New Writing Scotland. His stories have won many competitions, including the Fish and Neil Gunn prizes. He's already had 3 novels published: The Chess Piece Musician, Mrs. Winchester's Gun Club, and now the wonderful Blue Postcards. So Douglas, I'd just like to hand over to you and very much look forward to your reading.
So Blue Postcards is written as a kind of series of 500 paragraphs or 500 postcards, and they all have something blue in them. The book itself juggles 3 narrative strands, and the postcards or paragraphs are numbered, and hopefully this makes the juggling both visible and easy to follow. The strands of the narrative weave into and out of each other and are connected, and one of the connections is blue, and one of the other connections is truth and lies, and there are various others. And I've chosen to read from the very start of the novel, and it seems to me, in this case, to make most sense. So I'm going to read the first 7 paragraphs or postcards. I'm not going to read the numbers, but if you were to read them in print form, you'd be able to see that there's a kind of juggling going on. And hopefully the first paragraph that I read will make clear why that is.
This meeting is image. This leave meeting. Continue. Default now in.
At the foot of the steps of Le Passage de la Sorcière in Montmartre sits a man in a blue suit. The sleeves of his jacket pushed up to his elbows, his shirt collar unfastened, and his blue tie loose around his neck. He sits playing with 3 chased silver egg cups and a wooden ball the size of a pea. He asks passers-by if they would like to bet on which egg cup the ball is under, after he does a dance of the cups, shifting the order and showing the wooden ball and then not showing it. It is a trick, of course, but he does it so well it's hard to see how. Once I saw him lift all 3 cups and there was no ball at all. It had disappeared. He's a showman and he makes everything look easy. He feigns surprise when the ball is not where it should be, and he laughs, showing gaps in his yellow teeth when he does, and one tooth has a blue stone fixed in it. Maybe he doesn't sit there now. Maybe he has disappeared, for there are gendarmes in blue-black uniforms and pillbox hats, and they move people along if they are causing a disturbance. Years ago, in the blue mists of memory, there was a street in Paris called the Street of Tailors. Men sat outside their shops like kings on their thrones, and they nodded to each other or tipped their broad-brimmed hats and said shalom and smiled. There were also dressmakers on that street and gentlemen's outfitters and cloth merchants. Then one day, the whole street disappeared and all the people in it. Now that street has a different name, though there is a tailor there and he wears a shawl some days, fringed with tassels. 4 of the tassels each have, according to the law written in his book, a blue thread running through them. The man's name is Henri, and he works in the shop, taking down the measurements of men's inside legs and the width of their shoulders and the thickness of their waists. He writes all these measurements down in a leather-bound ledger that is kept locked in a safe, as though it is a book of secrets. I remember standing at a stall beside the Eiffel Tower. The sky was so blue it hurt to look at it. I stopped by the stall because it offered shade from an awning that stretched above 3 fold-down tables. On one table, there were boxes of postcards in some sort of arrangement. They were old postcards, pictures of Paris over the years. I leafed through them idly in order to justify my sheltering. One card caught my eye. It was a blue postcard, completely blue on one side, a blank and eternal blue, though the paper was a little yellowed and cracked and the corners of the card rounded. On the reverse side, on the left, the postcard had a message in French. On the right, a name and address. It carried a stamp in the top right-hand corner, a stamp that was completely blue. It had been franked and was dated 14 May 1957. I do not think the girl serving at the stall knew what she had. It was priced at €1. And that's the end of my reading.
Oh, thank you so much, Douglas. You read that absolutely beautifully. And I noticed it's very strange when you were holding up your paper to read from it. It looked blue to me. I don't know if anyone else saw that, but it seemed to be a blue colour on. I don't know if it's just the reflection from the computer, but it looked amazing, and it was a wonderful reading. And it's an incredible book. And I'm going to be asking you some questions about that later, which I really look forward to. And I don't know how you did it, Douglas. I'm very jealous. So we can ask you more about that in a bit. But